In this session, we would be discussing the history of accounting. Okay? We would be discussing how accounting came into existence. Now, accounting as a subject is as old as the ancient civilizations. Okay? So it is as old as the ancient civilizations. Probably in our lower classes, we would have studied as a part of history. There were four major civilizations: the Mesopotamian civilization, Harappan civilization, Chinese civilization, and the Egyptian civilization. So the evolution of accounting as a subject is as old as these civilizations. So the traces of accounting date back to almost 7,000 years. Okay? The traces of accounting date back to almost and there are some documented evidences that prove or that show that it is as old as 7,000 years. However, there's a small flip side to this. Accounting back then, it did not evolve as an organized structure. So there were no well-defined rules, there were no well-defined practices, though it is around 7,000 years. In India, we have traces or we have records of Chanakya in his writing, which is called as Arthashastra, where he prescribes certain accounting practices for the sovereign state or the government. Okay? So as a part of his work, Chanakya, who was a part of the Mauryan dynasty, who worked for Vikramaditya Maurya way back in his court or in his kingdom, Chanakya had made certain notes or certain records regarding how a state or how a government should go about carrying out accounting practices. Now, the Roman empires were the ones. So Roman Empire came maybe towards the end of BC, towards the end of ADs. They were the ones who introduced the concept of audit systems. So they had certain practices in place where they would keep records. They would keep accounting records, and then it would be relooked or it would be looked into. So as a part of the Roman Empire, as a part of their systematic administration, they would frequently carry out what is called as audits, and this is what eventually grew out and what we see as in today as the auditing systems. Then Luca Pacioli, who was an Italian mathematician, he is the one who's considered as the father of accounting. So Luca Pacioli is the person who gave or who's the one who introduced the concept of double system of accounting. So he's the one who introduced the concept of double system of accounting, because until then, okay, so Luca Pacioli was a person who lived in the 14th century. He was there. He was a part of the the early Renaissance movement, and then he had a lot of contribution, especially in the domain of mathematics. And one of his significant work where he wrote certain books, certain best practices for merchants, and then he introduced the concept of what we call today as the double book or double system of accounting, and that is what gave rise to the modern system of accounting. So this is the reason why Luca Pacioli is referred to as the father of accounting. Okay? He's referred to as the father of accounting. Now, though Luca Pacioli had contributed his work, Luca Pacioli had contributed his work way back in the 14th century. It was only with the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century that there was an urgent need for accounting to be introduced. Okay, so there was an urgent need for accounting to be introduced. So with the Industrial Revolution, the businesses started kickstarting, formal structures of businesses came into existence, and with that, we had the formal systems of accounting that were introduced. And also in the due course, this is various chartered bodies of accountings were established So, for example, in Glasgow, we had the first chartered body, which was established by the Queen, and then eventually you had various statutory bodies which were established across the different parts of the world, and this gave to the formal structure of accounting as we see on today. So, this, in a brief, is a nutshell about the history of